Mike McCarthy's exit from Dallas. A surprising win in a circus-like drama. When you think of the Dallas Cowboys, you think of America's team, the legacy, the glory days of the 1990s, and, well, Jerry Jones, the larger-than-life figure whose presence looms over every decision. In a world where everything is bigger in Texas, including the egos, the Dallas Cowboys head coaching position has been a spot that's either made or broken careers. And yet, despite the circus-like nature of the job, Mike McCarthy is walking away with a rather surprising win. Let's break this down and explore how McCarthy emerged as the true winner in his time with the Cowboys. Even as the Jerry Jones-driven drama unfolded around him, the Cowboys' coaching history, a graveyard or a launchpad? Let's start by taking a quick stroll down memory lane. The Dallas Cowboys have seen their fair share of head coaches who left the franchise without exactly securing a better future for themselves. We're talking about guys like Chan Gailey, Dave Campo, Wade Phillips, and Jason Garrett. All decent coaches, no doubt, but did any of them really find the same level of success elsewhere after their time in Dallas? Not so much. In fact, many of them have become the definition of better supporting actors than leading men. Then there's Tom Landry and Barry Switzer. Landry, the legendary coach who built the Cowboys into a perennial powerhouse, never coached again after being let go by Jerry Jones, mostly due to age. Switzer, who won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys, never returned to coaching either, possibly due to his unpredictable nature. However, not all stories in Dallas are doom and gloom. The two men who managed to leave Dallas with their coaching stars intact are Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells. Johnson helped craft the Cowboys' last mini-dynasty and secured his place in NFL history, while Parcells exited with a winning record, leaving behind a much-improved Tony Romo at quarterback. But here's where things get interesting. Mike McCarthy, despite the drama and the ups and downs, managed to carve out a place in this select group, leaving the Cowboys better off than when he arrived. McCarthy, the unlikely winner. When McCarthy was hired in 2020, it seemed like a controversial move. Many questioned his ability to succeed in Dallas after his stint with the Green Bay Packers. But McCarthy, whether you love him or hate him, achieved something that few others have in the history of Cowboys coaches. He made the team better. Let's start with the basics. In the 3 years McCarthy led the Cowboys, the team notched 3 straight 12-win seasons. That's impressive by any measure, particularly when you consider the injuries the team suffered during that time. Quarterback Dak Prescott missed a significant chunk of the 2020 and 2024 seasons due to injuries. And yet McCarthy managed to keep things afloat. But let's not sugarcoat things entirely. McCarthy's tenure wasn't perfect. He had some major missteps, particularly in the playoffs, where his Cowboys went 1-3. The 2022 playoff loss to the San Francisco 49ers, where the Cowboys let the clock expire without getting a playoff in the final seconds, was one of the more painful moments of McCarthy's tenure. And the 2023 season's wild card loss to the Green Bay Packers, yikes. That one stings, and it will likely haunt him for the rest of his career. Yet, despite these playoff blunders, McCarthy was often working with a roster that wasn't as fully formed as some fans might have liked to think. He was often fighting battles that weren't of his making, trying to get the most out of aging players like Ezekiel Elliott or working with backup quarterbacks Andy Dalton and Cooper Rush. And let's be real, who else could have turned those backup quarterbacks into 13 wins? Despite the challenges, McCarthy didn't lose his cool. In fact, he was frequently seen as the calm in the storm that was Jerry Jones and his circus-like management style. Whether it was Jones making a public spectacle of himself or offering his unsolicited commentary about the team, McCarthy managed to keep his cool. There was even a running joke throughout the league, "I feel for Mike," as other teams saw him dealing with the madness that often accompanied the Cowboys. The real winner, McCarthy's reputation. As McCarthy leaves Dallas, he walks out with a solid reputation, much better than the one he entered with. When McCarthy first signed on as the Cowboys head coach, many questioned whether he was the right fit. But by the time he left, McCarthy had transformed from a recycled coach in need of redemption into a sought-after candidate with a proven track record. Remember, it wasn't just about getting wins. McCarthy helped elevate players like Dak Prescott from mid-level starter to MVP contender in 2023. He reinvigorated a fading Ezekiel Elliott, turning him into a serviceable short yardage back. The offensive line, which was rapidly deteriorating, still performed at a fairly high level despite some age and injuries. In fact, McCarthy did what very few coaches could do: he worked with what he had, often getting the best out of his players even when the roster wasn't perfect. He leaves Dallas as a much more polished head coach than when he arrived. He's no longer just a guy who won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. He's now seen as someone who can handle a team, regardless of the situation, and get results. Jerry Jones' missteps, the real story of McCarthy's departure. Of course, McCarthy's exit wasn't without its own drama. Jerry Jones, as always, made things more complicated than they needed to be. In fact, there was a time when McCarthy couldn't even speak to the Chicago Bears about their head coaching vacancy until his contract had officially expired. That seemed petty on Jones' part, and it may have been a move to make it seem like he was still in the game to retain McCarthy. But here's where McCarthy truly shines, despite all the political drama. He never made a scene. He didn't throw public tantrums or complain about his situation. He quietly worked behind the scenes. And by the time he left, he was seen as the bigger man in the whole situation. What Jerry Jones did, or didn't do, only highlights McCarthy's win. McCarthy left the Cowboys with a good reputation, while Jones, once again, found himself in a whirlwind of media attention that had little to do with actual football decisions. A tough future for the Cowboys. McCarthy's departure leaves the Cowboys in a bit of a bind. The next head coach will inherit a team facing a significant salary cap crunch, with the looming issue of securing a massive contract extension for star linebacker Micah Parsons. The offensive line needs work, and beyond CeeDee Lamb, the receiving corps is uninspiring at best. And, let's not forget Dak Prescott's injury concerns, which might affect his mobility moving forward. But perhaps the biggest issue facing the next head coach is the continued circus that is Jerry Jones. The Cowboys, despite all the talent, haven't broken through to the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl in decades. They are often a franchise mired in expectations, with fantasy football-like hopes that don't always align with reality. McCarthy, despite his flaws, may have been the best man to guide the Cowboys through that maze. McCarthy's final win, the freedom he gained. In the end, McCarthy leaves Dallas as the unexpected victor. He's no longer the head coach of a circus. He's free to pursue his next chapter, with a resume that includes success with a wide variety of quarterbacks and systems. Whether it's helping a team like the Bears develop a future star like Caleb Williams or working with a team like the Saints to develop a talented but raw quarterback like Spencer Rattler, McCarthy has proven he's capable of making something out of nothing. McCarthy's exit from Dallas is a surprising win for a coach who had to deal with more than his fair share of drama, yet still managed to elevate his team and his reputation. For the Cowboys, the circus continues, but for Mike McCarthy, he's got the freedom to build something lasting elsewhere. And that's a victory in itself.